Hello again from southeastern Finland in northern Europe. I'm going to continue my series of historical videos of selected years, and now it is time for 1999. It was the time when some people worried about the so-called Y2K crisis in the world's digital systems, when 1999 would turn into 2000. Fortunately, no major problems were experienced. By quite many people's accounts, 1999 was the last year of the 20th century, although the more accurate people claimed that it was actually the second last year of the 20th century. And this, of course, depends on whether we consider the Common Era or Christian era to have begun in the year zero, which technically does not exist, or in the year one, and whether we believe that the first century ended in the year 99 AD or in the year 100 AD. Southeastern Europe was still restless, especially in Kosovo, former Yugoslavia, where Serbs continued to massacre Albanians. And as it turned out, outgoing Finnish President Mr. Martti Ahtisaari tried to mediate that dispute. Let's see now. The World Athletics Championships, or IAAF World Championships, were held in Seville, Spain. Trying to think of other events. Communists won, or actually I think the United Russia Party won the Russian parliamentary elections in December 1999, and at the end of December 1999, the controversial and ailing Russian president, Mr. Boris Yeltsin, announced his resignation. He was replaced first on an interim basis by prime minister or head of government or co-head of government, given Russia's presidential form of republican government, Mr. Vladimir Putin, who would then be confirmed into office by presidential elections in March 2000. Austria had a special difficulty forming a new government. In October 1999, the Social Democrats still remained as the largest single party, but without a majority. The populist right-wing Austrian People's Party was hundreds of votes ahead of the center-right Christian Democratic Austrian People's Party, and the two parties eventually entered into negotiations. After the negotiations to form another so-called Grand Coalition government between the Social Democrats and the People's Party broke down. The two right-wing or, non-socialist parties would eventually form a new government in February 2000. So let us look at this year's events more in detail. (1999) was a common year, that is a 365-day year. It started on Friday of the Gregorian calendar. On January the 1st, 1999, the euro currency was established and the European Central Bank assumed its full powers. However, the euro only started to circulate in January 2002 in those 12 member states of the European Union which had decided to adopt it as their currency. On January the 20th, 1999, the China News Service announced new government restrictions on the internet use aimed especially at internet cafes. On February the 7th, 1999, King Hussein of Jordan died from cancer and was succeeded by his son Abdullah II. Jordan is the western neighbor of, depending on the viewpoint, either Israel or now Palestine. On February the 12th, 1999, US President Bill Clinton was acquitted in impeachment proceedings in the United States Senate. Neither one of the two impeachment articles was able to get the required two-thirds majority of the senators who were present. The perjury charge failed, with only 45 Republican senators voting for it, while the obstruction of justice failed. Obstruction of justice impeachment article failed, with 50 Republican senators voting in favor of it. None of the 45 Democratic senators voted for either article, while 5 Republican senators voted against both articles, and then 10 Republican senators voted against the first one. On February the 21st, 1999, here in Finland, more specifically in the Finnish capital Helsinki, a data processing specialist, Miss Sanna Sillanpää, who had no previous criminal record and who apparently had watched too many action thrillers and had become mentally deranged, shot 4 men, killing 3 of them at a shooting range in Helsinki. She remains incarcerated. On February the 23rd, 1999, Kurdish rebel leader Mr. Abdullah Öcalan was charged with treason in Ankara, the Turkish capital. On March the 12th, 1999, former Warsaw Pact or Soviet-led military alliance members Hungary, Poland, and the Czech Republic joined the US-led North American Treaty Organization, which is also a defensive and military alliance. On March the 15th, in Brussels, Belgium, the European Union Commission, led by former Luxembourgian Prime Minister Jacques Santer, resigned over allegations of corruption. On April the 1st, Nunavut, an Inuit homeland, was created from the eastern portion of the Northwest Territories to become Canada's 3rd territory. Territory is a lower-ranking administrative unit in Canada than a province. There are 10 provinces in Canada and 3 territories, along with then hundreds of municipalities divided into cities and rural towns. On April the 5th, 1999, 2 Libyans suspected of bringing down the Pan Am Flight 103 back in December 1988 over Lockerbie, Scotland, were handed over to Scottish authorities for their eventual trial in the Netherlands. The United Nations suspended sanctions against Libya. On April the 7th, 1999, in the Kosovo War, Kosovo's main border crossings were closed by Yugoslav forces to prevent Kosovo Albanians from leaving. On April the 8th, Bill Gates' personal fortune made him the wealthiest individual in the world due to the increased value of Microsoft stock. On April the 20th, 1999, in one of the most notorious and one of the deadliest, but not the deadliest, US school shooting near Littleton in the Denver metropolitan region of Colorado in western United States, 2 gunmen, 18-year-old Eric Harris and 17-year-old Dylan Klebold, shot 12 fellow students and fatally shot 1 teacher, Dave Sanders, before turning their guns on themselves. Initial reports claimed that they were part of the so-called Trenchcoat Mafia, but more careful investigations have revealed that they felt psychologically troubled and alienated. They glorified the culture of death. They admired Nazism. They also dabbled in occultism and Satanism. And at least 3 of the 12 student victims were professing born-again Christians, Rachel Scott, Cassie Bernal, and John Tomlin. One of the killed victims, Isaiah Scholes, was an African American. One, Kyle Velasquez, was a Hispanic American. On April the 26th, 1999, a popular British television journalist, Jill Dando, 37, was shot dead on the doorstep of her home in Fulham, London. A local man with several disabilities, learning disabilities, and a long record of unemployment, Barry George, was then convicted of the murder according to circumstantial evidence. However, in August 2008, his conviction was overturned due to a more careful examination of evidence. It was known that Mr. George, despite his poverty and learning disabilities, was obsessed with celebrities. However, the killing must have been the product of a mastermind, because Jill Dando at the time was living with her fiancé, Dr. Alan Farthing, and only infrequently visited her home. When she was about to open the door of her house, the killer grabbed her from behind and forced her to the ground face down, and then shot her in the temple, killing her. The case remains open 20 years later. On April the 30th, 1999, Cambodia joined the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, bringing the total members to 10. On May the 6th, 1999, as a part of the Blair government's devolution plan, switching power from the British national government and parliament to two regional governments and parliaments, elections were held in Scotland and Wales for the new Scottish Parliament and the National Assembly for Wales. On May the 17th, 1999, Mr. Ehud Barak was elected Prime Minister of Israel. On May the 27th, 1999, the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia in The Hague, Netherlands, Western Europe, indicted Mr. Slobodan Milosevic, the Yugoslav president, an ethnic Serb, and 4 others for war crimes and crimes against humanity committed in Kosovo. On May the 29th, 1999, Nigeria in Central Africa terminated military rule, and the 4th Nigerian Republic was established with Mr. Olusegun Obasanjo as president. On June the 1st, 1999, Napster, a music downloading service, debuted. It was later closed down, I think because of copyright issues. On June the 9th, 1999, in the Kosovo War, the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia and NATO signed a peace treaty. On June the 10th, NATO suspended its airstrikes after President Milosevic agreed to withdraw Yugoslav forces from Kosovo. On June the 12th, the Republican governor of Texas, George W. Bush, whose now late father, George Bush, also served as US president, announced that he would seek the Republican Party's nomination for president of the United States. On June the 14th, Mr. Thabo Mbeki of the ruling Socialist African National Congress Party was elected president of South Africa. On June the 19th, 1999, Turin in Italy was awarded the 2006 Winter Olympics. On July the 1st, 1999, Finland in Northern Europe began its 6-month term as the chairman, or as the country officially chairing the European Union. The chairmanship rotates between the European Union's member states every 6 months. And on the same day, the Scottish Parliament in Edinburgh was officially opened by the British Queen Elizabeth II. Europol, or European Police Office, the European Union's criminal intelligence agency, became fully operational. On July the 7th, 1999, in Rome, Morocco's Hicham El Guerrouj ran the fastest mile ever recorded, some 1,609.35 meters, at 3 minutes 43.13 seconds. On August the 11th, 1999, a total solar eclipse was seen in Europe and Asia. On August the 17th, the 7.6 Richter scale strong Izmit earthquake shook northwestern Turkey with a maximum Mercalli intensity of 9, or violent, killing over 17,000 people and leaving around 50,000 injured. On August the 19th in Belgrade, then the Yugoslav capital, now the Serbian capital, tens of thousands of Yugoslavs rallied to demand the resignation of Yugoslav President Slobodan Milosevic. On August the 26th, the Second Chechen War between separatist Chechens and Russians began in the Caucasus region of southern Russia. On August the 30th, East Timor, on the southwesternmost corner of Asia, voted for independence from Indonesia, which had invaded and occupied it since 1975 in a referendum. On September the 8th, 1999, the first of a series of Russian apartment bombings occurred. Subsequent bombings occurred on September the 13th and 16th, while bombing on September the 22nd failed. On October the 5th, 1999, 31 people died in the Ladbroke Grove rail crash west of London in England, United Kingdom. On October the 12th, 1999, Pakistani Prime Minister Mr. Nawaz Sharif attempted to dismiss Army Chief General Pervez Musharraf, who was visiting another country. The generals, however, led a coup d'etat ousting Mr. Sharif's government, and Musharraf took control of the government. On October the 31st, 1999, the Roman Catholic Church and several Lutheran Church leaders signed the Joint Declaration on the Doctrine of Justification, attempting to resolve a centuries-old doctrinal dispute over the nature of faith and salvation. This declaration would be denounced by various evangelical Christians across the Protestant Christendom as being unbiblical. On November the 6th, 1999, Australians defeated a referendum proposing the replacement of the Queen, meaning the British head of state, and the Governor-General with the President to make Australia a republic. The President, however, would have only held a ceremonial position and would have been elected by the Australian Federal Parliament, and could have also have been dismissed before the end of his or her term by the Federal Parliament. On November the 23rd, 1999, the National Assembly of Kuwait in the Persian Gulf region of Western Asia revoked a 1985 law that granted women's suffrage. On November the 27th, 1999, the centre-left Labour Party took control of the New Zealand government, with its leader Helen Clark becoming the second female Prime Minister in New Zealand's history. On November the 30th, 1999, the ExxonMobil merger was completed, forming the world's largest corporation. On December the 3rd, 1999, after rowing for 81 days and 5,486 kilometers or 2,962 nautical miles, Ms. Tori Murden became the first woman to cross the Atlantic Ocean by rowboat alone when she reached Guadeloupe from the Canary Islands. On December the 20th, 1999, the sovereignty of Macau was transferred from Portugal to China after 442 years of Portuguese settlement. On December the 31st, 1999, the US turned over complete administration of the Panama Canal to the Panamanian government, as stipulated in the Torrijos-Carter Treaties of 1977. Boris Yeltsin resigned as president of Russia, leaving Prime Minister Vladimir Putin as the acting president, and third millennium celebrations took place around the world.